And here we go again. It is Orange and Blue today. Cecil, Lammey, Andrew, Mason. And Mace, I never like when a DNP comes up on a Thursday. Wednesday?
Yeah.
Wednesday, you got time. When it's a DNP on a Thursday, I got some alarm bells ringing here.
Yeah, a DNP comes up and a limited comes up on the practice report. So usually a limited coming up on Thursday typically means something happened during the practice.
Right.
And a DNP means something changed from Wednesday to Thursday. And you've got a couple of key players for the Broncos with some changes in status. There's a key Raider with a change as well heading into this game, and we'll get into that. But yeah, not the best of news for those two guys right there, Zach Allen and Pat Bryant. Zach Allen, DNP, did not practice Thursday with a calf issue. Now, the interesting thing, Cease, is that he was out there stretching at the start of practice. So we're taking attendance, as we in the media on hand tend to do.
And it looks like a normal day then, right?
Yes, you see him out there and it looks normal. Everything is good. This is something when you go to practice, you always take attendance. Always. Just because you never know. You never know. So it's maybe a good indicator that he at least was out there, but when you saw DNP on the practice report that was filed afterward, that definitely arches some eyebrows there. So Zach Allen, DNP, and then Pat Bryant limited with a hamstring. And that's something that might make you a little nervous because usually when you see limited in a practice, most often that means the injury was sustained during the practice. So the player was practicing, had the injury, and then didn't finish practice. That's usually the way it works, and thus limited because they didn't make it through the full practice because of said injury. And of course, hamstring, that always makes you nervous with any player. So when we go out there on Friday, we will be watching and taking attendance with great interest. Now, unfortunately, we won't be able to take attendance on Zach Allen because Friday's practice, they do this a little differently. We don't see the linemen, offensive or defensive linemen, or the edge rushers out there because they do a different protocol with those guys to get them a little bit more rest. So when we take attendance on Friday, all we see are offensive skill players, receivers, quarterbacks, running backs, tight ends. And on defense, we see defensive backs and inside linebackers. So we get out there for practice. We're not going to be able to see at the start of practice whether Zach Allen was out there or not. We won't get anything really firm until we get the injury report after practice. But we will be able to see whether Pat Bryant is out there or not. And if Pat Bryant is not out there at the start of practice on Friday, that's not a very good sign as to the hamstring issue that popped up on Thursday. And Pat Bryant's cease has become a much more important part of the offense. Played a career high in snaps on Sunday. And the stat that I threw out there in the piece that I published real quickly at denversports.com just before coming on the show, Pat Bryant in the first 7 games of the season only had 48 receiving yards. In the 5 games since, he's averaged 45.4 yards per game, which if you took that over a 17-game season, so if you extrapolated that over 7 games, would translate to a 772-yard pace, to tell you just how important he's become. Effectively, Cease, Pat Bryant is starting to work his way into wide receiver 2 status, is starting to take those first steps to becoming that Michael Thomas slant god type to starting to fulfill the vision that Sean Payton had for him. And if this hamstring injury is reasonably serious, it would be a significant blow to the offense and a significant blow to Pat Bryant's development, just as he was really starting to come into his own.
Yeah, be careful with hamstring injuries. They linger, usually for speedy guys, but for all guys, you want to be cautious. And let's just say Pat Bryant has to miss the game against the Raiders. What's the answer then for the Denver Broncos? I did talk to Mike Kliss earlier today on my radio show, and he said Elijah Moore's probably not going to be ready anytime like this week, but he seemed to suggest that maybe there's a time Elijah Moore could get out there. But as you mentioned, he's a little guy.
Yeah.
So I'm like, is A.T. Perry getting called up? Do they just go more Troy Franklin and Marvin Mims? They have some options, Mace, but none that are what Bryant has become for them.
Right. I mean, Troy Franklin would probably be the guy that maybe you incorporate back in more because he was certainly getting more reps at the start of the season and is certainly somebody that can handle the pass catching load and can kind of, and he can certainly pick up the slack. And he's still the guy that over the course of the season, he's second on the team in receptions. He's second on the team in receiving yards. So yeah, I mean, if you're kind of looking at it immediately, absolutely. And then he's still a guy who against the Chiefs had 84 yards in receptions. Of course, he had the big play at the end of the game. So he's still very involved. But yeah, I mean, it's you probably should get Marvin Mims Jr. involved more. I mean, you and I would like to see more of Marvin in this offense. To me, it's confounding that they don't incorporate Marvin Mims Jr. more, but he doesn't necessarily run the same routes as you'd want from Pat Bryant. And so does that mean you give them to Lil Jordan Humphrey? I mean, knowing how Sean Payton likes Lil Jordan Humphrey, I think probably that's what you'll end up seeing.
Yeah, he played 52% of the snaps last year.
Yeah, I mean, that's just kind of how it works, and I think that would probably be the direction in which they go in terms of, okay, who's going to step in and get more who's going to step in and get more playing time. Lil Jordan Humphrey played 14 snaps, 20% of the snaps last week. So if Pat Bryant can't go, you'd probably see more of Lil Jordan Humphrey. I think you and I would love to see A.T. Perry more, but of
course.
But that's our guy. So he's sitting there on the practice squad. I mean, to me, I would like to see them give A.T. Perry a look, and if Pat Bryant can't play, to me, Perry is the guy who could best approximate Pat Bryant.
Yes.
If you want to have like a 1-for-1 apples for apples replacement and you wanted to have the least disruption in the receiver room and say, okay, like we just want to plug somebody in and say, okay, he's going to run these routes we're going to plug him in and try to do the same thing and not disrupt anything else. To me, the call would be Perry, but we know it doesn't necessarily work that way. But that would be my call, and then you'd actually get a chance to see, okay, you've put a year plus into him on your practice squad. How has he developed? What kind of progress has he made? And get a chance to find out a little bit. So anyway,
I'm all about to examining, especially when it comes to the A.T. Perry at the wide receiver position. I would say that he's faster than Pat Bryant, but Bryant is more clutch.
And also, Pat Bryant has a little bit more stouter of build. Like AT's got length. He's definitely got he's got those splendid splinter type of legs as well. But AT's got some length to him, so we'll see. We'll see what they end up doing if Pat Bryant can't go. We may get out there on the practice field and it may turn out that the hamstring issue wasn't a big deal and that he's back out there. But whenever you see hamstring for a wide receiver, you get nervous. because of the explosiveness required for a player at the position. And when you see Zach Allen with any kind of injury, you get nervous because of how important he is, and then because there really isn't a substitute for him in that room. The Broncos have gotten by without Pat Surtain, and they've figured things out. Zach Allen may be dadgum near irreplaceable. He leads the league in quarterback hits since he joined the Broncos, 95 quarterback hits since coming to Denver in 2023. He led the league in quarterback hits last year. He's leading the league in quarterback hits again this season with 31. He's on pace to exceed his quarterback hit total last year of 40. So if Zach Allen can't play, that would be a tremendous blow to the Broncos pass rush, which, oh, by the way, DJ Jones did not practice for a second consecutive day. If you have to play without him, that affects what you can do against the run. It's very interesting. Sees the Broncos average per carry allowed is a full half yard. It's a half yard less with DJ Jones on the field than when he's not on the field, to tell you what kind of impact DJ Jones has on your run D.
All right. They got some issues here. We do have a question from the chat room, and this is from Daniel, one of our favorites, or all of our favorites. But Daniel asked something very intriguing, because this Pat Bryant news, Mace, has me disappointed because we were just starting to see more.
Yeah.
And Daniel says in the chat room, can Ingram run Bryant's routes?
Possibly, but of course, you're in a little bit of a spot of bother at tight end because you only have two tight ends again right now, potentially, because Nate Adkins has yet to return to practice. So you don't have Nate Adkins practicing. You've used up your practice squad elevations on Mercedes Lewis. So unless you've got some kind of corresponding roster move coming, you're going to play this game with two tight ends, just like you played last week with two tight ends. So in theory, you could do that, but because you're trying to figure out things with only two tight ends, it's unfortunately probably not the week where you could get away with that, with giving him those routes, because you're trying to figure things out with your tight end packages with only two tight ends with Ingram and Troutman. So I like the idea, Daniel. I just don't know if you can do that personnel-wise this week.
Yeah, it's the season, man. Even after the bye week, and even with all how that's why when Sean Payton talks about how they've been so injury free, I was like, shh.
I know.
Don't tempt the football gods.
The football gods are undefeated, and the football gods will not be mocked.
Yeah, they will not be mocked, Mr. Sean Payton. I got more thoughts on what they could potentially see without Zach Allen there as we go through kind of a newsy show today. And then we'll see. But let's first play a quick video from our sponsor here.
At Ramos Law, they believe in building long-term relationships with their clients. Wondering if you have enough insurance? Send them your coverage information, and they'll review it for you absolutely free. Dr. Joseph Ramos spent years treating injured patients in the Denver General Emergency Department, making him a true injury expert. Ramos Law, uniquely built to fight for you.
Mace, Savion Jones, not to replace Zach Allen. Nobody does. And I think we had that conversation off air. Yeah. We talk a lot, but I think you and I had the Zach Allen, like they can't lose Zach Allen.
Yeah, I did a show with old friend Phil Milani a couple weeks ago where I said of all the defensive players, I felt he was the one who was the most irreplaceable, not Nick Bonito, not Pat Surtain, that I thought was Zach Allen. And it was because of the skill set and the players there. All due respect to the defensive linemen, but they've figured things out with cornerback, and you have some pretty good quality rotational edge rushers there if you lost Nick Bonito. I mean, basically, you've got, Q Robinson is inactive a lot of weeks because there just isn't room for him on the active game day roster because you go 5 deep and you feel pretty good when you're healthy. And at defensive line, it's a little, you've got guys, but you don't have another comparable havoc wreaking pass rusher. For instance, like, Eni Wazirike has become a very good run defender, but he's not a very efficient pass rusher. Now, maybe Savion Jones eventually gets there, but we don't know. There's just, he's not far enough along. He's played only one game to this point in his career. So it's really too early to judge that. But right now, at this moment, when you look at the Thursday practice report and you see DJ Jones and you see Zach Allen as DMPs, okay, maybe you're going to have to tap into that depth. We'll see. I mean, I don't think the door's not yet closed for DJ Jones playing in this game. So maybe we'll get a glimpse at DJ Jones practicing on Friday. So that is another thing to look out for. The thing with DJ Jones is we've seen him around the practice the last couple of days. Like, it's not like he hasn't been out there. Like, we've seen him kind of walking around near the practice field. So, like, sometimes when a guy isn't practicing, like, they're either on a side field or they're not anywhere near. DJ Jones has been around, so that's an indication that maybe he could ramp up Friday and maybe he could play by Sunday. So I don't think the door is closed quite yet on the possibility of DJ Jones playing, although I do think they may opt for caution, and the Broncos do tend to be a cautious team with bringing guys back, especially when they look at their situation in the standings and see 2-game lead in the AFC West. They're battling for the number 1 seed, and believe me, they know about the importance of this game. Sean Payton is very aware of the importance of this game in terms of tiebreakers with the Patriots and all that. Like, that's, he knows darn well how important this game is, and he will, and he knowing darn well means he's made that clear to his team. The quest for the number 1 seed is very much on the players' minds. Like, they have that goal in place. I mean, they're not looking past this game. They're cognizant of the importance of this game, but they're not going to, when you apply for colleges, if you suicided, you went for one college and that was it. They're not suiciding this game, basically. They're not going to force a player out there if it's going to jeopardize his potential availability for the rest of the season. So they'll be prudent, just kind of like they were with Pat Surtain, something that he acknowledged heading into last week, that they did hold him back owing to where they were in the standings. He did admit that last Friday. I think they'll probably have some of those thoughts in mind as they consider things with Zach and DJ.
We will continue to see on this newsy Thursday what else the Broncos have in store. Of course, Friday and then our Saturday game plan show. You want to stay tuned for that. So make sure to subscribe, as Sharon has reminded you in the chat room. What's this Garrett Bolles video that you uploaded, Mace? What is this? What's going on here?
I want to get to this here. Okay, so Garrett Bolles, of course, we have to mention Garrett Bolles on this show today because he is the Broncos' 2025 NFL Man of the Year nominee. So big deal for him. At the end of his press conference, he was asked kind of about his path and the Broncos' path since he got here, because he's seen it all. He came here in 2017. So he comes to the Broncos right after they've had a 9-7 season. There's still some Super Bowl afterglow when Garrett Bolles arrives, even though they're 1 year removed. They haven't fallen just yet. In Garrett Bolles' rookie season, they fall to 5-11. So he's been around for the descent, the plummet, and all the crap. And now he's seen this thing come back up, and he's been here for it all. GB went through the fire and often was at the flashpoint of the fire. And
They oftentimes had the Zippo.
yeah, like he was basically like he was the target of fans' ire.
Oh yeah.
Like at times, only the quarterback, whoever the quarterback was at that moment, received more vitriol from the fans than GB. And now here he is. I mean, it's turning into just one of the great stories ever told in Broncos history. So he's asked about kind of the Broncos' path and his own path over the years. And I just want to play this. It's a long answer. It's nearly 3 minutes.
Whoa.
Okay. But I just want to play this. And I'm going to just preface GB's comment by saying, I don't think I've ever heard anything from a player or seen a player who loved being a part of a team or part of an organization more than Garrett Bolles loves being a part of the Denver Broncos. So let's take a trip into the GB zone.
As you look at sports, right, you know, if it's basketball, if it's baseball, if it's football or any sport, you have lows, you have highs and lows. And no team can just go so many years over and over again with losing. I mean, you got to do something about it. And it starts with the top of the bottom. Like when you build a foundation like a house, like if you have a crack in your foundation, your house isn't going to stay for long. And we had a bunch of cracks, right? We had a bunch of leaky pipes, like Coach Payton said a couple years ago. Like we truly did. Not only did we had great players. We had players that wanted to play, but it was just like all the small and simple things that you ever thought would go into football. And you know, it's the thinking, it's the culture, it's the attitude, it's the love that you have for your teammates, it's the people that are behind the scenes that nobody even knows. You know, it's the people that clean our buildings, it's the people that come and wash our cars, it's the weight room, it's the community team, it's the front office, it's like all of the above, the analytic department, like, and then obviously when you have great owners that you see this building behind us, like this is what it takes to build an empire, and that's what we want. And this organization's been an empire, right? I mean, you go back to John Elway days and all those things, and Steve Atwater days, like people feared to play the Broncos, and there's a reason for it, and there's a reason why we're one of the biggest organizations in the world. And obviously because blue and orange are good colors, and you got to love those colors, but it's just the people that come in here. And obviously we got the greatest owners in all of sports that are just so humble and just want to be a part of us and want to give us everything that you can dream of. And that's why we're 10-2. I mean, that's truly what it is. And we got a great locker room. We got a great quarterback. We got great young players that are eager and humble to learn. We got a great line room. We got great coaches, Coach Street, Coach Payton, great whole offense. I mean, obviously the defense speaks for itself, and all those great players that just, the established of that. I mean, this has always been, a defensive organization, right? And then obviously, when you get a quarterback that the defense knows can go down and win games in crucial moments, that's what it takes. And to be a part of this and watch this all revolve into something special, I mean, something big, it's truly a special time for me and my family to be a part of. And I couldn't be more grateful about where we're going, how we're going about our business and what we're doing. It all speaks volume of just the people we have in this building. And I'm just truly blessed to be a part of it. And I'm excited to see what happens down this stretch.
Pretty cool, huh?
Wow.
Yeah.
Knowing his journey like we all do, that's really cool.
Yeah.
He could have been bitter. He could have been nasty. He could have been, get me out of here. He didn't do any of that.
Remember, they didn't pick up the 5th-year option on him in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
That right there tells you there was a moment they didn't see him sticking around. He wasn't in their plans. And then in 2020, he plays so well. He earned his way back into their plans. And then he signs the contract, and then he regresses a bit in 2021, and so we start thinking, okay, maybe it was, as Vic Fangio might say, the false positive, because he had his best season to that point in the year without fans. And I don't think it was a coincidence at all that his best season up until Sean Payton and Zach Strief arrived, that his best season was without the fans. In other words, if there was a penalty, there was no booing. I think for GB, there was a home field disadvantage for a while for him.
Mm-hmm.
He did play better on the road than at home those first few years. It did definitely kind of get in his head
Yes.
that, holding and the fans react, the booing. It's like, here we go again. And we know, and we do know, and Mark Schlereth tells the story that in that Bears game in 2019, the official actually announced the penalty against Ron Leary instead of Bolles to take pity on him. Like, it was actually going to be against Bolles, but he announced Leary's number, 65, instead. Because if he had announced another penalty against Bolles, if it was holding offense number 72, the crowd was going to absolutely lose it at that point, because he'd already had multiple holding calls to that point. So 2021 is okay, but there's a regression. Then 2022, he gets injured. His season ends after 5 games. And then we get to 2023, and then Zach Strief and Sean Payton come in, and then you get better coach. You get good coaching. He was making progress under Mike Munchak. And then 2022 comes, and it's Butch Berry. And you and I talked about Butch Berry a lot on this show. And
Yep.
Butch was a screamer, and that's not the type of coach you want. So the progress Bolles had made under Mike Munchak came to a screeching halt under Butch. And then Strief comes in, and Strief's a lot like Munchak. Very technician, but very, doesn't scream at you,
He has fun, and he loves you up.
Yeah, loves you up, works with you, works with your personality, like treats you as an individual, right? Like not a piece of meat. Works with you as a person. And like you say, loves you up and believes in you. And then that trust is, and then he builds that trust. And GB is a guy that, like, when he knows he can trust you, like, just
He'll do anything for you.
all good things come from there.
Mhm.
And now we're seeing, like, the last 2 years, we've seen the best ball of his career. I mean, it's year 8, year 9. He's getting better and better and better. I mean, I know I've seen some of the comments come in. There's a very good case for Garrett Bolles to be an All-Pro this year. Right now. Very good case for him to be that first-team All-Pro. Wouldn't surprise me if he is. And if he does get first-team All-Pro, then we can start having a Ring of Fame conversation. I would say Ryan Clady needs to be in the Ring of Fame. Like, Ryan Clady is, like, I don't know why he's not in the Ring of Fame. Multiple-time All-Pro while he was here.
It's gross that he's not in there.
He should be in. Like, it's an oversight, and there are a bunch of oversights for the Ring of Fame. Actually, in terms of what they did as a Bronco, Gary Zimmerman definitely should be in the Ring of Fame. Definitely deserving Hall of Famer. But his best play was actually with the Vikings. Very good as a Bronco, all-timer with the Vikings. Ryan Clady was actually, as a Bronco, the best tackle in team history, in my opinion.
That's fair.
At his peak, before that 2013 injury, Ryan Clady was just dominant. And even though he had the injuries, like, no one's played tackle for this team better than Ryan Clady. And to me, he should be in the Ring of Fame. So what I'm saying is, I don't know if Garrett Bolles is ever going to be the best tackle in Broncos history, but he's putting himself in the top 3 conversation. And thus, that means if he can get a first-team All-Pro in there and have a long career, he can be in that Ring of Fame conversation. But to me, he's behind. He's probably behind Ryan Clady, and Ryan Clady should be in the Ring of Fame. So, just my take. But
I'm glad you brought that clip to the show of Garrett Bolles, because it's a great history lesson for us all. By the way, Ricardo chimes in from Mexico City, so
Yes.
where my family's from, or Le Pues, I would say to Ricardo as we talk here about the Broncos on Orange and Blue today.
Yeah, I got the jazz hands. I was really going on the explanation.
Oh, Jason loves your jazz hands for sure.
Yeah, that's, you can tell when I'm getting emphatic when the hands get going. It's the Dick Vitale hands, like when he's making a point. Like, awesome, baby.
Diaper dandy, that's for sure. Mace, the meds are kicking in, so we better wrap this one up.
Because you're not feeling too well. You're not feeling too well.
A little under the weather. Everyone, stay warm. At least I don't have strep throat, so I'm happy about that.
Good deal. I'm glad you're feeling better, especially since I was around you yesterday. A little bit. I'm glad you're not feeling. Don't have strep. Yeah.
Right. All right, Mace, we'll wrap up today's program. Be back Friday, of course, in our Saturday game plan show.
Excellent.
But we are now over 23,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Whew.
We
Nice.
can't do it without you. Again, we want plaques on our walls, both of us, for 100,000 subscribers. So let's keep that up and tell a friend. It's Orange and Blue Today, best Broncos show on the interwebs, right here for you. How can folks further help us along on our YouTube efforts, Mace?
Like,
Comment,
share,
subscribe,
hit that notification bell.
so that you
Never
miss
vid.
vid. That's right. He is Andrew Mason. You follow him on all the socials at Mace Denver. I'm at Cecil Lammey saying OBT's BFD. Thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned, and would you please, as always, stay frosty.